The Paleolithic period begins in a time of ice ages called the Pleistocene and continues into the epoch known as the Holocene. There's not a huge amount of archaeological evidence for the Paleolithic period in Somerset, unfortunately, and most of what we have dates from about 40,000 years ago. There's a predominance of activity in areas like caves, so you'll see a lot of material from areas like Cheddar and Wookey in the Mendips. But we also have some activity on the grasslands, the moors. Basically, hunter-gatherers were moving around this landscape constantly as it was so tough to survive in the conditions in Somerset in this time.
Hello, I've got a range of artefacts here that you might find useful when you're planning a prehistory curriculum. All the artefacts that are here on the foam are from the Paleolithic period, so the Old Stone Age, and they range in date from the Lower Paleolithic over here, right through the Middle Paleolithic in the middle, obviously, and over here we've got the Upper Paleolithic. And we're going to talk through the artefacts one at a time, just to spark off some ideas and things that you might want to incorporate into your teaching practice. So starting here with the oldest artefact that's on the table, this is a hand axe, and hand axes are absolutely amazing tools. They're a bit like a Swiss Army knife. You can use them for lots of different functions. So you can use them for sort of sawing motion on the side, you can use them to point with, you can use them with a heavy chop, and they range in different sizes as well. So this is a fairly small example, but you do get larger ones. And one of the really interesting things about these is that they're made by a non-Homo sapiens species of human called Homo heidelbergensis. So that might be something else that your learners find interesting. Moving forwards in time into the Middle Paleolithic, we have this lovely example here. Something that's really fascinating about this Middle Paleolithic object is if you compare it to something from the Lower Paleolithic, you can really see that the technique that people are using to make these objects is really different, and it's come a long way. So this is an example of Homo neanderthalensis, so Neanderthal work. Unfortunately, we don't have very much Neanderthal evidence in Somerset. But moving on into the Upper Paleolithic, when anatomically modern humans, Homo sapiens, start moving in, we have all sorts of material. And it's not just stone. So this is one of the artefacts from the famous site at Goff's Cave up in Cheddar. And this type of artefact are also found in caves at Westbury Sub-Mendip and elsewhere at Wookey as well. And it's a really stunning example of a bone awl. So can you see it's got this sharply pointed end, and then they've left the kind of nub of the bone at the other end fairly untouched. So what it's used for is for poking holes in leather and tough skins and furs. So this is something that people are using to make clothing effectively. And something that we have evidence for at Goff's Cave is that they were processing animal sinews, so the long ligaments, in order to turn them into thread to use for this kind of purpose. Moving back to the stone tools, these are objects, again, from Goff's Cave, and they're really characteristic of the Upper Paleolithic. So they have this really distinctive shape, a trapezoid shape, so you could talk about irregular shapes if you wanted to. And they're made of really beautiful flint. It's got this gorgeous coloration to it, and again, it's small and detailed. And when we focus in on the edges, what we can see is this retouching, this returning to the side surface and sharpening it, making sure it's a really effective cutting edge. And while something like these earlier tools might be really useful for, as I said, chopping and sawing, these are fantastic scrapers and they can be incredibly sharp.